start with
Yes, please.
the holy presence. Sometimes it looks, when I close my eyes, search for the holy presence, it looks very far from the exterior world.
Ah.
I have to cross layers to touch the presence of the holiness.
Yeah.
And again, when I open my eyes, it looks very far from the, so this separation. Is it really far?
Okay, good. Thank you for starting us off. So, he says that when I look for the presence within myself, holy presence, God's light, presence of Atma within myself, it can seem like I have to go through layers of things. So, all the world's appearance, you see, and we can make that into layers. So, external perception, body, sensation, emotion, thought. We may feel like we have to go through all of that, you see, and then we come to this. You see? But actually, you perceive all of that also only through this. So it's not that you are here and then going here like that. You see? It is that you are here and all of that is sprouting out of that itself. You see? So, but you're right that many times it can feel like that. You can feel like you got disconnected in some way. You may feel like it got disconnected in some way and you are sort of in the zombie mode. You see, in the zombie mode. And then you remind yourself that you're not a bunch of food, you're not just a body. And you use a pointer, use a sadhana, use a reminder in satsang, use anything that gets you to recognize that God is here, God's light is here. So the more we get into the hypnosis, the more distant this can seem. The hypnosis of mind patterns, mind thought. Then within that hypnosis, the hypnosis is designed to do what? The hypnosis is designed that you take yourself to be a disconnected something. I am something, but that I am something, what changes is not just that a mere something is added to I am. What seems to change is that that something takes itself to be different or separate from I am, distinct from I am. You see? So, as the hypnotizer, not really an existent hypnotizer, but in the Leela, it plays as if in the mind's hypnosis, when we buy into this idea, it can create a seeming distance or disconnection from our very source. And that is the point of spirituality, to get rid of that seeming distinction and return to where we truly are. You see, so although in reality there is no distance, we all of us know that, and yet the whole world of spirituality with all its pointings and paths and sadhanas, all of that is meant to cut through the hypnosis and come to this. You see, so at one level it is nothing, it's right here. At another level you could be a sadhaka for lifetimes to come to this. You see, so both are true depending on the hypnosis or not. You see, now you're right that if the hypnosis is there, if you feel like you're distant from the light and the light is not palpable, apparent, then we must cut through the layers and get there. You see, now the mind itself will trouble us and say, but for me it should be now like this. Why do I have to cut through? You see? So this is the paradox. This is why the Leela seems so real while being completely unreal. It is designed to feel real. You see, it is God's design itself that God's Maya will seem real. If it was some humanly made Maya, it may not have felt so real. But since it is the design of the Absolute, you see, it is bound to feel intricately real. But that is the best approach to. So suppose that you realized you walked a lot and you are far from home. You see, then there are two approaches you can take. The first approach is to say, okay, I'm very far from home. Now let me try and keep walking so that one day I might be able to build a new home for myself. So that is the story of the prodigal son. So you try to, now that I walked away, there's no turning back. I have to try and make this ego itself a success, make my individuality a success. But you did the right thing. You noticed, okay, it seems like I have walked into individuality. Let me take the immediate retreat back home. You see, because that is the only light, it is the only freedom, it is the only happiness in our life. And no matter how difficult or distant it may seem, that is always the right approach to take. You see? So why I'm saying that is because many times we may feel like I'm just not worthy of this. It's just not possible for me. Look at how far I have come. So in that approach we keep walking. We keep walking further away. You see? But to stop, return. You see? That is the, so Sri Bhagavan said, make the choice. As long as you feel like you can make a choice, make the choice to not go along with thought. And one day even that choice you will recognize is grace. But as long as it seems like there is a choice, then you must make the choice. So return home, and from there you may get an insight that when you make the choice to get hypnotized, this is a strange sort of hypnosis, no? We make the choice to get hypnotized. It's just that an offer comes, the salesman comes, you see, and then we feel like, oh, rather than the company of God which is already here in my heart, let me venture into the mind's offer. What is it that can be so valuable? Easy. So if the Absolute manifested itself in the form of Ram, Krishna, Jesus, and was sitting on the couch over there, yeah? Sitting on the couch over there, and our mind comes and says, come back home, because Amitabh Bachchan is going to give you a visit at home, or Kamal Hassan, or Rajnikant, or whoever, whatever is exciting for you. He's going to visit you at home. What will you say? What will you say? No way, no? It could be whoever you admire the most in the world, but God itself is there. Now, I am telling all of you every day that God is here. Is it? Then am I lying? Or are you creating a barrier for yourself, saying it may be true for him, but it's not true for us? See? Or I'm just mad. Yeah? What are the options? See? So I'll give you a more pertinent scenario. God is palpable in your heart. Not the physical heart, but in your true heart, the core of your essence. You see, it's palpable there. You see? But the world is full of distractions. All full of distractions we may label as good or bad. You see? Full of distractions. Now, with the presence, the holy presence in your heart, being there to value something, even as good or bad, to make a judgment. You see? Where is the time for that? Where is the time for that? God is sitting with you. And you're saying that is so good, that is not good, that is very bad. You see? You see? It's like God is sitting next to you in your home. And you say, okay, let's put on the TV. What happened? Let's watch the news. Let's see what is the good stuff and the bad stuff. You don't need that. God is sitting with you. You see? So what is happening? Am I deluded? Am I lying? Or is there a mental category we make for all of this as it is spoken that okay, this is spirituality? You see, so I'm understanding spirituality. So we confine it with a boundary. You see, we confine it in our intellect, in our understanding, and say this is not literal. You see, this is not literal. This is just so I become more peaceful because I have an understanding of some spirituality. But I am telling you literally, just like God could come and sit right here. He is sitting in your heart. This is not romantic poetry. Not romantic poetry saying, the beloved is always with me in my heart. It is true like that, but it's not that way. Is it? I am saying literally to you, more than the person that you think you are sitting, more than the person that you think you are sitting right now listening to this, or the person sitting next to you, more literal than that is God's presence. Because without that, you would not even experience this body. You see? That literally I'm saying. That greatest power in the universe, in fact, that in which the universe sprouts, is where? Right here. So don't waste time on peanuts and popcorn when God is sitting right here. And if you feel like there is a seeming disconnect, then return home. Use the pointers. Ask yourself, can I stop being? Am I here? And then, if you feel to, from there, you can ask, am I aware even of this? Because that presence itself will lead you to its own absolute nature. When you come to Atma, then you are fully taken care of. Then you are nothing to, oh, but this is Atma, I should get to absolute Brahman. None of your business anymore after that. Your job is to recognize and be in God's light, God's presence. After that, the light itself will reveal its own source to you. But you should not become mental about that. You should not become mental about that. Oh, this is just God's light. I want the absolute. There is no difference between God's light and God. So, that Sadguru presence. So, that's so beautiful that this presence in our heart that I am, itself is God's light, is Sadguru presence. Why do we call it also Sadguru presence? Because it has the Guru nature to guide you. It has the Guru's love to comfort you. So every worldly problem is solved only in God's light. What can trouble you in the world? You can be confused, the answer is in your heart. You can be tired, and rejuvenation is in your heart. You may feel like you don't have the answers, but the answer is instantly available in your heart. It's all just here. It's all just clear. So, if you feel that you have not found this, then you must dedicate your whole life to finding this. If you feel like you have not found this, then dedicate your whole life to finding it. And with that complete surrender of what else may happen in your life, this will become very, very apparent to you. If you feel that you have come to it, then there is no excuse for straying from the light. But in the way that I am saying there is no excuse is not a cause for guilt, but a cause for an immediate return. Because there is no excuse for guilt. There is no excuse for unworthiness. God is sitting there, and you are saying, I didn't meet God, He came 3 hours ago, I still haven't met Him, but you're continuing to not meet Him. You see, so see the mind tricks, which keeps you in the kitchen away from the living God in your heart, just cooking away various theories and notions and understanding and conclusions, whereas God is just waiting. If you can say that you are is who? Can you say that you are? Yes. So that you are is God's presence. The mind's only job is to convince you that this that is, or is being, or is am, is the presence of an individual entity. But all of you know by now that that is not possible. An individual entity would have a boundary, it would have a birthday, it would have a yesterday and tomorrow. This doesn't have. It doesn't have. So it doesn't belong to somebody individually. There is no individualization that is happening. So, if you come to listen to me, and some of you may call me Guru or Father or whatever, then this is what I have to offer. But if you go in your own merry way while continuing to pretend to follow me, you see, then the journey seems to elongate. Then we're just troubling ourselves more and more. I'm telling you. Yes, it can feel like sometimes that has strayed away from the heart, so immediately return. Try to not be. Find out in whose light You are experiencing the light of the world. Find out. All the pointers are there with you. There are probably hundreds and thousands over in Satsang over the years. So, but it cannot be something that you are doing half-half. Cannot be doing half-half. Saying that my allegiance is both to my individuality and to God. That you cannot do. Just like you cannot, well, you can drink like half a cup of poison and half a cup of antidote and just, but that is not going to help. If you're going to poison yourself and take the antidote in equal measure, what is going to happen? Then the journey just seems to prolong. So have the faith that the one in whose light these universes come and go as if they are tiny bubbles. The one in whose light these universes come and go like they are tiny bubbles. That can run this mere life according to its will. And let go of self-concern for some time. Otherwise, why me? When me? What's in it for me? What about me? Me. That will be the poison that you're. Then satsang just becomes an antidote, and we feel like we're just stuck. You can feel that feeling of stuckness, or the idea of stuckness is because of that. You cannot do it. You cannot really remain in God's light if you're trying to exploit it. You cannot remain in God's light if you're trying to exploit it. I have come to you, God, now. You become my glorified servant. Give me peace. Give me joy. Make my relationships fine. Give me this. Give me that. So, it is not for that. Come to God's light and allow God's light to guide you. How do you know what's best for you to want? Yeah? How can you tell? How can you determine that this is what I should want? I know what you want. That's what I'm saying. How can you determine this is what you should want? Who can guide you even about that? What has got us to this point where we suffer in our life? It is wanting what the mind wants. So that is not a good way to check. So want only what God wants, and then you're in alignment with God. In fact, wanting what God wants is no longer a desire anyway. You're just allowing His will to unfold. Because there is no distinction between God's light, God's will, and that which we call the manifestation. Because His light manifests. What it conceives, it also perceives. There is no distance between God's conception and perception. Maybe, yes, I was just going to say maybe we went too far with this. But this world's appearance, you see? Why does the hand move like this and not like that? Who's giving the intelligence for that to happen this way? God's will. So God's will is unfolding in this way. Now, as consciousness, you have the power to also have a judgment about it and say, no, the hand should have gone the other way, because that is the better thing to do. You see? But what intelligence does it have to be able to make that determination, as opposed to that which itself is the light of this universe, in the light of which that which it wills is also the manifest appearance. You see? So what can we trust? You see? So God's presence is here. That is the first thing. You see? Either God's presence is here or I am the biggest liar in the world. And I have no reason to lie to my children. I have no reason to. I have nothing that I want to exploit you for. So why should I lie? Right? So your mind will say, but it's distant, it is not possible, I am unworthy, or I want an experience that I had 5 weeks ago, or some rubbish like that. But I am telling you, God is here. See? Now, do I want you to believe it? Not really. See, I want something more than that. See? It's more like trust than belief. It's more a question of faith than belief. Because it is this faith which will make the propositions of your mind unattractive to you. What can the mind offer to you now? And say, I want to understand what he's saying. And say, no, but I still have responsibilities in the world. No, but whatever. But I have work to finish for today. Something. You see? But what are you comparing against what? God is sitting on one side of the weighing scale. What will you put on the other side to give that importance? This is a very literal question. What will you put on the other side to make that important to you? Let's hear examples. There are only 4 things in the world. Only 4 things. Relationship. So worry about a relationship in God's presence. Wait. Oh, I love him so much. Oh, I love her so much. Put all of that on the other side of the weighing scale and weigh that against God's presence. I want to be with this one. My life is not complete without that one. Huh? How do you weigh it against that? It's pure nonsense. Huh? Pure nonsensical rubbish compared to the reality of God. And those in Satsang don't have the excuse now. Don't have the excuse now. So relationship. The idea of a relationship is what? That somewhere I find something that I can connect with that completes me. You see? But if you are incomplete, then that is because of a misunderstanding that you have, not because of a reality that you have. You're incomplete because of the ability of the hypnosis to convince you that there can be a separation. Not because a distinction actually came about within God. And to then perpetuate the notion of incompleteness through the grasping or desire or clasping at another is a pure folly. And yet, from God's light, empty of a grasping, a natural functioning in the human condition can happen. I'm not against relationship or for relationship. I'm just saying that your truest relationship you must grasp, and then the rest can unfold. Then you say security or money or comfort or these kind of things. We think that holding up on things and holding up on bank balance keeps us away from worry because we have security. But have you seen most people who have a lot in their bank account are most worried? They should be very secure. When I worked in the slums of Ijipura, I found them least worried. They had no bank account, many of them. So what's going on? So to quote Jesus, he said that these birds, they are not into farming or agriculture. They fly, I'm paraphrasing please. So they fly freely without any concern for tomorrow. But they should be the most worried then. If our human idea of existence is true, then they must be the most worried because they don't know. Tomorrow where the food will come from, how will they feed their little birds? They don't know. But they are fine, they seem to be absolutely fine. So do you consider yourself to be less than a bird? Because a bird God takes care of, but you need to take care of. And if you do take care of it, you see what happens? You can put all your good stuff in a bank locker. You can have great amount of money in the stock market. You can do all of that stuff. And one day the whole financial system can collapse. Finished. All your life saving, so many old people have this trouble, they put it in the wrong bank or used a wrong consultant or something like that. All gone.
I know what you're saying. You're saying God is here. But I know it on face value, but I'm not getting the depth, the immensity in which you are saying it is not sinking in.
Yes. That's why I have to keep repeating it. No? That's why Satsang is there thrice a week, so that I realize that this hypnosis, of taking yourself to be an individual, at some level, although it's really nothing for your reality, at some level it can seem to run deep. The conditions that we have about relationships, about money, about the health of the body, about even freedom and spirituality. Many times those who come here and know a lot of spirituality struggle more than those who don't know any spirituality. Because for the first many months you may be sitting here saying, yes, I read this and this. Yes, no, but he's saying wrong. He's wrong. So we're still there, trying to find the absolute meaning in our head, which is not possible. So what I'm introducing you to is that sweetness which gets sweeter and sweeter and sweeter and sweeter. Like Guruji says, gets sweeter and sweeter but never over sweet. So it's not that you have an awakening and it's over, game over. You wake up and then your insights get deeper and deeper, your intuition gets sharper and sharper, your existence gets sweeter and sweeter. But don't get any of these parameters for the mind to make benchmarks of. That's why I don't speak of it often. But this, like I was saying the other day, this astounding. Okay, I'll get it practically. So last night when I was going to sleep, I just felt that, how can I go to sleep? And of course I know that in pure awareness it is the absolute. And yet still, I was saying that if my son just arrived on a flight from America, I will not go to sleep. My friends came from Delhi that I went to school with, and they just landed, and they were sitting with me in my room. I would not go to sleep. It was very sweet. I was not troubling myself. It was just beautiful. But God is sitting right here. And I want to sleep. So every day I'm meeting this discovery deeper and deeper. On most days these days I'm just like, how can I even utter the word God? Oh, who am I invoking? I'm saying God. Who am I invoking? Whose presence is here? It's astounding that this is even a possibility, and in those who are in Satsang, not a possibility but a reality. So I'll chop up all this like conceptual spirituality which repeats the word God 100 times on one page, and it's so dry, and it was not meant to be that from the mouth of the sage when it came out. But now it just becomes so intellectual that we just like, oh, this and then this, and you see from the Nirguna Brahman, then Saguna was born. In Saguna there's a play of Ishvara and Jiva, and all that. We may understand all of this. All when you die, all this is gonna die with you in your head. Meet all of this. We're talking about Brahman, Nirguna Brahman. Saguna Brahman, Atma, Paramatma. All these words we become jaded because too much availability in today's world. You can Google everything and chat GPT everything now. But all of that will add to your conceptual understanding, which means nothing. It is only useful if you can use that to dive deeper within. If it gives you the pride of knowing something, then it is counterproductive. So who sits in your heart? Whose presence is palpable, that you call I am? I was saying the other day that can we even meet this? That we say that there is undoubtedly a presence within me. And then we say, okay, what next? Are we going to the absolute? There's a presence within you. What shrouds us? What veils us from this discovery? That we can become just like, oh, okay, yeah, there's a presence. What? You better find out who that is. You see? Because is that a temple in your heart, or do you need to call the Ghostbusters? You better find out who that is. You can't just say, yes, there's a presence within me, and then just go about in your life normally. It's the same old 4 variables trying to manage them. How can you do that? Huh? How is it possible? It's just like you're walking on the way to office one day, and then along the way, Hanumanji decides to show up, and you just hug Hanuman and tell him, oh good, I'm so glad you're here, but I have work to do, so let me go to my office. What? Is that what satsang has become? You come and you meet God in your heart and then say, okay, this was good. Nice experience. So, like a movie, let me go back to my life. No, a moment, an instant of meeting God should just change our priorities, at least, if not our life. And this most absurd is, okay, now that I have met God, how does that make me more productive? How does that make me more efficient? You see? There is even a version of Bhagavad Gita to be better at management skills at work. What's happening here? You see, are we really talking about God, or has God become just a construct for some intellectual desire? Oh, now that I've come to God, my relationship has really improved. What? How are you not in awe of that which you're discovering? So either there must be some lack of faith, some disbelief of some sort, or our mind has found a way to normalize even this. And that's in a way a very strong ability which the mind has. So at the beginning of the pandemic, it all seemed so strange. We just have to sit at home, we can't leave the house. Within a few weeks, most of us in Satsang, the way we are just like, I'm so happy that we can't leave the house. Nobody's asking us to leave our caves. So it's fully normalized, you see. It got fully normalized in a few weeks. No? In the same way, what's happening to all of us in Satsang is that we are meeting God and we've just normalized it. Yeah, God, where is He? It's here. You'll even talk to your friends about it and say, God lives within you. Isn't it? You see? But you can't say it as if you met a celebrity on the road. It must shake you up. It must change your life. It must change your ideas, your priorities. What is happening here? How can you take yourself to be a bundle of food after you have met God? I met God, but what about me? This is sheer absurdity. And for this, we have to commend the mind somewhere, because wow, the stuff it can deal with and project in its own way. Your Guru is telling you that God is there. That which you've taken yourself to be your presence is actually the presence of the limitless, the boundless. The highest force in the universe. It's coming from a credible mouth to you, not from a liar. And we are just like, hoga, but what about my relationship? Am I free? God is sitting there. Does this mean that I am free? Have you seen, notice the sheer absurdity of all of this? See.
Then why this disbelief? I mean, for me, there's not even a clear recognition to say disbelief. What?
Yes. So while it feels like we don't have the clear recognition, then you have to take my word for it and drop the mind's proposals for anything else. As you are open and empty, you are truly in the meeting with the divinity in your heart. Without needing the mind's certificate that something is happening. If you can take it to be that the earth is moving while everything that you see tells you that it's completely flat and stationary, then for some time you have to follow. But belief will not be enough, but for now maybe it is a starting point. Use it as an antidote to selfishness. Use it as the antidote to the mind's Mahamantra saying, what's in it for me? And the pointings, if you follow like this, they will bear fruit. The veil will be lifted. Because it doesn't have a tangible quality, it is just as if you took yourself to be a character in a book that you were reading. You see? And then you close the book. Don't read the book anymore. And wait for grace to clean up that hypnosis. The best you can do is remain open and empty, and in satsang follow with the innocence of a child. The rest is all God's grace. But even that life, where you followed with the innocence of a child when you came to satsang, and you were open and empty to the best of your ability, that life is 1,000,000 times better than a life full of delusion. So, on what basis can we say that I am? Is it because I am perceiving? But you are perceiving. No? You don't say someone is perceiving. The thing is that it is so natural that we feel that this can't be it. It is so natural. See, I am sitting, no? You don't say somebody's presence is sitting. I am. And then we add a layer of looking at perception and saying, sitting or standing, which is all perceptual knowledge. But before you come to sitting or standing, which basically expands into, yes, I am perceiving a body which is here, and I am taking that body to be me, and that body is in the posture of sitting, so I say I am sitting. Otherwise you don't find yourself sitting. No? This is sounding crazy. So what I'm really saying is, what is that which tells you that you are sitting? Suppose you were asleep and suddenly you woke up, like in an airplane or something. You look at the perception and you confirm that I'm sitting, and then you're in a plane, whatever. So the conclusion that it is you that is sitting comes from the notion of taking yourself to be the body, and you notice the body in a particular posture, and then you claim that the sittingness is there. But the I amness is confirmed with what? That which remains unchanged, whether sitting, standing, lying down. That is confirmed how? Intuitively. And that intuitively, then because the mind has no access to it, it says, I haven't really found this. But you have, that's why you say, I am sitting. No? You don't say somebody else is sitting, or I don't know whose body this is, it's just lying around, let's call lost and found. You don't say that. And what I'm saying to the body applies to this whole universe. We've been trained to negate the perception of whatever is being perceived. And we've been trained by parents and society to conclude that within all of these perceptions, I am only this bundle. But a child is not born that way. That's why for parents it can seem like it takes time to teach the children. I used to ask my son, where is your head? He used to point at my head. Your head, this is my. They didn't have those distinctions. They were taught. But I am is never in question. We never wake up from our sleep and say, oh, somebody woke up. Who is that? Who is that? Wake up and say, oh, I woke up. I woke up. So presence suddenly is there now, and you are not shocked by it. You in fact claim ownership of it and say, I woke up. Yeah, I must have gone to sleep. I woke up.
So you've taken it for granted.
Yeah, and it's so natural and simple and obvious that the mind has used the naturalness, the simplicity, the obviousness as it's the real itself. Prove it. But it's too natural to prove. How do you know? In my heart. To the mind, all this stuff is nonsense.
It's true. It's like boring.
It's just like, boring because what's in it for you? You see, otherwise we'll go to the most boring things if there's any, even the mildest self-interest. You see, here you're not getting anything. Nothing new is an offer. Mind, what's the point of this? You see? Like you notice children talk, they're like, "Pa, I'm so bored. I'm so bored. What's the point of this? What's the point of this?" Those two questions have become very interrelated. You see, even at that young age, if they're told that there is a point to something, we no longer say it's boring. You see, the point could be entertainment or it could be other monetary benefit, it could be some other benefit, health benefit. You see? So if you went to a session where you said, okay, now I'm going to give you tips to make this body like disease free for the rest of your life. You see? And this one may have the most boring delivery. Just point number 1. When you wake up in the morning, then you must go to terrace. See? But you will be listening to all 10 points with rapt attention, not getting bored, because what's on offer is a disease-free body. But in Satsang, the mind is not able to make out. What will I get? What will I get? I am giving you the good news, like I said in the contemplation today, that God is here. So unless it is like still sounding just like imagination, poetry, romanticism, what can be more astounding than this? And the best will be the doubts. Yes, God is here, but what? To confirm God is here and then have a but. And the but is always what? But what about me? In whichever form it may come, the content is always, what about me? Little on me. So, I am telling you that God is here. The first line of defense could be, oh, he doesn't know what he's talking about, he's a fraud, he's lying, he's deluded, what? So forget. The second then could be, okay, he's telling the truth, but it is not my experience that God is here. You see? If that's where you are, then leave everything else internally. Don't have to externally quit your job or anything unless internally you feel to. Leave everything else. You have met someone who is telling you that God is here. You see? So let's go slowly on this path. I am saying, you will say very simply, you are saying leave everything. Easy for you to say, because you found God. You see? Like that sweet man came the other day, he said, what if I leave everything but I still don't find God? Isn't it? Mhm. Mhm. What if I leave everything and I still don't find God? You have to take that risk. You have to take that risk. Because anyway your life is going to death. What are you really risking? What are you really risking? Do you have some other plan B? And that life which is only going to death is not life anyway. I am telling you that the source of life, that which is the living presence, is to be found within you. If you take this to be true, but you feel that this is not your experience yet, then you must devote your life to this finding. See? Everything, inquiry, surrender, prayer, chanting, singing, whatever makes you feel that it brings you to the light of God. Just like a person who's fallen off the cliff is now holding on to a branch for dear life. We must hold on to the Master's words which are pointing you to God with that much tenacity and follow. Because otherwise death is coming anyway. But this is the chance. This is the branch which is offered to you. Then you may say, yes, I have faith in what he's saying. I also have such a tangible, palpable sense that this presence is here. It's so clear. How was I in denial of this? That may seem strange. You may come to that point where, yes, I am. Then you must allow this light itself to run this life. Everything must emerge from there, empty of mental contamination. Everything must come from there. That is how to live a life. That is how to be guided about life. All the good and bad is determined from there. All the doing and not doing is determined from there. I'm going fast with this, but this is very, very important. We go to the mind to determine good and bad. We go to the mind to determine what to do and not do. But now, the Sadguru presence can help you in your heart. What is right and wrong? What comes from there? How do we know something is good? If it comes from there. Like that. So, our life then becomes a life lived in God's light. And as we get used to living in God's light, then this instrument may also become an instrument to share or to spread God's light. And most of us are very happy for that to happen. Also very happy for that to happen and that to unfold in this way. You see? But first we must learn to follow the guidance which is coming for ourselves. So if the guidance can come from for others, for friends and those who come to us, maybe people will ask us, what is it about you? Then you say, I found God in my heart. And how can I find? And you may find that some words are coming through you for them. But the same words can come within you for you. So, the allowing the light to unfold naturally without mental contamination, and to follow the guidance if it is palpable in that way for yourself to begin with, is to live in God's will, to live under the command of God, to live a life of obedience. Hukum rajai chalna. Now we don't, I feel most of you are over it, but initially we did not like the word obedience. She's like, I didn't come to get freedom so that ultimately I'll be obedient. I wanted freedom to be free to do whatever I want. But in this world, we are obedient to either the mind's voice or the heart's voice. We are obedient either way. There is no third. There is no third will. It's either the mind's egoic will, separate will, selfish will, or God's will. So if you're dreaming up some strange sort of idea that you'll have a third sort of individual but godly type will, it's not. It's all nonsense. There is the hypnotizer in your head. It convinces you of your limitation and separation. And there's God's light in your heart. And that which we take ourselves to be is meant to follow. Of course, that which we take ourselves to be still is not our reality, but we come to that. So till we take ourselves to be something, anything at all, then we have to follow God's will. Now, in this light, in this presence, its own reality is also apparent. The only way you can come to the source of this presence is through the presence itself. So first you may ask yourself, what is the boundary of this being? What is the boundary of this being? Or where does it come from? And you will realize that the being whose presence you're hanging on to is something vastly beyond what your mind can understand. Because although you have the gift that you can meet the present, the one whose presence you are meeting is beyond any perceptual recognition. It's beyond any form. It's beyond any conceptualization. If you feel like the universe is so vast, then your being is that in which these universes come and go like bubbles. That is your reality, the reality of your being. And through the light of presence in your own heart, this is an insight which you can have, that you are having, many of you. How is it that sages thousands of years back said these kind of things? They didn't use scientific instruments, telescopes, you see? And or were they liars and madmen or mad women? No. Because the same insight reveals it to them across religions, across cultures, across time. Everybody comes to the same insight. That the one whose presence is here in my heart, that one is not some mere instrument stuck between birth and death. It is that which is beyond the vastness of this universe. It is the animating light to all that can be perceived. It is the animating presence of endless, infinite seeming time, and yet it is bigger than time. Infinite seeming space, and yet it is bigger than space. How is it those ones are able to say these things? How is it that a BD seller on the streets of Mumbai suddenly can come to, or over a period of time can come to this recognition through his master's grace? And this uneducated seller of BDs can write words like this, and that we revere as the Bible of Advaita Vedanta today is I am that. How is it that all those who meet their reality come to this insight, these insights? It couldn't be that they are part of some secret society who meets in a clandestine way and says, tell them this. That God is that within which the universe, let's agree on the company line and all say that. So, you just find this in your heart. So this light projected, I'm provisionally going to say it this way and that way, this light projected this way is the universe. But that same light, when it becomes introspective, finds the vastness of your being. And then you recognize that you are witnessing or aware of even that vast being which is impossible to comprehend. You are aware and not dependent even on being and not being. That is your reality. That unfathomable awareness for which being and not being also is nothing. The reality is so far from conceptual understanding, and yet intuitively it can be found. This is the beauty of this presence. It can be a guide to this mere appearance, but its true pointing is to point you to your reality. This is how you come to the recognition that you are Brahman itself, the Nirguna reality. So taste this tasteless reality that you are. Remember that it is not a dark empty space which your mind may be trying to propose that it is. It is neither dark nor light, not empty nor full. None of these worldly conditions apply to it. You are so beyond any sort of attribute or condition. And this also gives you the answer to how do I know I'm being intuitive and not mental. When your reality is apparent to you in this way, your mind cannot do it. You're being intuitive. As that insight is clear, what you speak from your mouth is Satsang. As that reality is apparent to you, what sprouts out from this instrument of this body is called Satsang. It's not about who you are, what your lineage is, who told you you can share, not share, none of that. But you could be unconditioned for decades. But in the moment that you're taking yourself to be an individual, what comes from your mouth, even if the world respects you as the greatest sage, what comes from your mouth is still ego. So it's not about which the instrument and the quality of that instrument, but whether it is speaking from true insight or not. This becomes your anchor. This becomes your strength. So when self is apparent, you're following your heart guidance. When you're hypnotized, then it doesn't matter if the world calls you a sage, you're still coming from ego. Yeah.
Some experience.
Take your time.
Father, whatever experiences I'm having now, I'll leave it at your feet.
She said, Father, whatever experiences I'm having now, I'm leaving at your feet. That is the right approach, because spiritual experiences can be very compelling and we may create a fresh identity around them. So best to surrender them. Enjoy them while they're there, not to be averse to them, but don't make them into a thing, because I'm pointing you to that which is beyond even that. Everything can happen. Out of body.
That's all. I'm just leaving it at your feet.
OOB, NDE, all these things can happen.
But one inside was very, very violent that I can't be contained in the body. But this fact that whatever the sensation or whatever, leave it at your feet, Father.
Yes.
Can you give an example of something that God asked you to do?
So many. It's just like when it's time to come home from office, the way it unfolds, I get a sign. Or contemplation, for example, to put up every morning. I just open the screen. I have a tool called Obsidian that I use to track my notes. So I just open it and just sprouts out from there. Many times, like this morning when I woke up, I was really guided that I want to share the good news that God is here. That's how it becomes. So it just replaces the old navigation system in some way.
For a while, I didn't know if I should ask the question because I didn't know if it's coming from here or here.
It's okay, so you can ask.
It comes from both also at times.
Huh?
Here,
Yeah, don't worry. You can ask. Satsang is like your safe space. What is the worst that can happen if you ask? You get a job.
I was just trying to follow.
It's very good. So most of the time it will just unfold.
Yeah.
And yet at some times, and I feel like you're asking about that part.
Yeah.
Because you probably feel like it doesn't say. Have you ever had the experience that someone asked you mostly about satsang and things and you found that it is saying but to them?
Yeah.
You see? So it can say.
I don't know if it said that. I'm wondering.
Yeah, this is good. You'll notice that more and more because it is the experience that many of you will have as you're living in this. That someone comes and asks you, sometimes in the office, sometimes your neighbor, sometimes a friend, and you say something and you feel like, where did that come from? I've never thought about it that way. So you start, and this is what started happening here when I met these kids for the first time. They were asking questions, the answers were coming, and I'm like, what is happening? And I even probably told you kids in those days that, where is this coming from? So, just like that. But don't have to rush that. As long as the first part is clear, you see? It's okay. But why I say the second part is because the mind can create this boundary saying, yeah, wordlessly it will guide you. Words are mine. It's not true. It's not true. That supreme intelligence which runs this universe can also use words.
But it won't talk to you, address me as a person.
Yes, it can.
As a person.
Why would it talk to, when I'm telling you should do this or you should not do that? It's coming from them.
But is that what you heard or is that how you're expressing it? It's God.
That is just the first, where in that living in the heart, it's just unfolding. But sometimes it does happen that I may get a sense that I must reach out to this child who has not been in satsang for so long. Write to this one like this, oh, write to that aspect of being which has not been in satsang for so long. The one who lives in your heart is also like your best friend. You don't have to project things onto it like, oh, it cannot be like that, it cannot do this, it cannot do. And in your own unique way, it will find a way to guide you. You see, or it may not. Maybe just an open empty is enough for many. That's fine. Or maybe for some, like here, like I always felt like God is speaking to me through the books which are coming. How did they plan this whole curriculum? Every time I had a question, the book showed up. They answered it. Every question, the book showed up. So it's not, because it is the light of this universe, all this is in service to that. Don't try to not have a boundary around what would be right for it or what would be wrong for it and what would determine it or not. Trust that which is beyond your mind. And it may sound very mystical and esoteric.
But you hear the voice here, something like that. Is it like that?
I hear the voice which is just from a deeper, you can't even call it place, but from a deeper realm than the realm of the mind. Many of you have heard the words of Satsang and you have not understood them, and yet you came again and again. What is that? If you come to Satsang, you don't understand anything, you should not come. And yet, many of you have come. So, what is that? Because in you is the ability to grasp the perfume of this. You felt that you didn't want to do a particular job. And you felt like another job is better. And during that time when we spoke, it didn't feel like it was just mental resistance. You were feeling like you were almost being guided from somewhere. So what was that guidance? Something like this, I remember at one point. We've often spoken about just coming to Satsang on some days where you didn't want to come. Is it? It's like, I didn't want to come today, my mind was completely fighting you. And yet, I followed something. What is that? So it doesn't have to be in the form that, like just like thought or something. God's guidance is available. So it's if it is available for the mouth to use, to sprout it, why can't it be heard?
Because with me what happens is I hear something, then I say, I think something. Like that example you said when some friend asks.
You always think and then say, okay, talk,
No,
let's go,
no.
let's go, let's go. It's not possible. And yet there's a difference when we talk like in a drugged state of the hypnosis and when we talk when we're in the heart. So mostly in the words of Satsang, it's actually at one level the most difficult thing to share Satsang, and at another level it's the simplest thing. You just sit and wait for the heart to speak. Wait for the heart to speak. So if the heart is speaking, one second, if the heart is speaking and the mouth is closed, then who is it speaking for? Or to?
Me only.
Yes.
There's a confusion actually.
Good.
Because at one, it seems as if from my presence and God's life, it's not concerned with anything of the world.
Yeah.
Like, it cannot.
It cannot, we cannot say. We can say at the moment it is not.
It's
Otherwise what happens is we notice there is like that, and then our mind will say, see, it's not concerned with the world. So don't allow your mind to make a judgment on behalf of that. Let that tell you.
like, yes, the last time, in last Satsang, I mean, somehow I feel like it was never ever clear that acts of universes come and go.
Yes.
And in Satsang, I feel like I really, so it seems so clear.
Yeah.
Going that.
Yeah.
everything comes and goes.
Yeah.
There's no concern as if
Yeah.
But again, it also seems to be that everything shines from here.
Yeah.
The entire universe also shines from
Yes,
here.
yes.
So, that every movie is just like,
When you say concern, it's not concerned about the events in the world, no? Generally speaking, because it's used in many ways. Like it's not touched by anything that may happen in the realm of perception. That is one way to say unconcerned. The second way to say unconcerned is that it is not concerned about how things will work out because it's all happening in its life. You see? But that doesn't mean that it's uncaring necessarily. There's so much care that it's put its presence in our heart. So much caring that if one child is truly, honestly in this, and they feel, and there's a sense that they're getting distracted or something like that, then the master just becomes so much in service to them. To that one child, even though there may be so many in the Sangha. So there's a lot of caring, there's a lot of concern in that way. But not a concern about the outcome. Yeah, sometimes words, no? Concern. Like right now I couldn't make out where the father was coming. Acha, there also.
So there is this tendency I observe that sometimes when there is a deep experience and I find there is very evident, presence very evident, or gone quite deep within. Then that the mind has this sense of achievement and then it feels that okay, I've done it, I've just packed my bags and just that's it.
Done.
And it's done. And then I'll go watch a movie or something else, do something else.
Yeah.
So then I don't feel like staying.
Nothing wrong inherently in watching a movie. I hope that's not what you're communicating.
No, meaning.
I'm saying inwardly you can remain open and empty in God's light. And then in any case this movie is happening. No? In the waking state means this movie is happening. So within that movie another movie is happening, it's no big deal. Unless you're really relating with all of that and then you have two movies to deal with. Because first you're relating with the stuff in this movie, then you're relating with the stuff in that movie. You see? And relating just openly, broadly is fine. So that's how you enjoy the movie. But to identify and take yourself deeply to be the character or something, no problem. Nothing wrong in any appearance like that.
No, it's taken for granted.
Yeah, that we must just to notice that is very good because someone else said to me the other day, the problem is that we know it's always available. No? So we can just go on our mental adventures and things like that, knowing that it's always there. Where is God going? But we don't know how long our life is. We don't know how long this world will be here. We don't know whether there will be another waking state that will appear as the sleep state comes to an end. We don't know any of that. And that is why we cannot take it for granted and postpone. God is here now anyway. So both ways, one is to evoke this kind of thing that, hey, time is running out. But really second is to say, but what exchange is possible? I am not being with God because something. Now, we may say, okay, let's dive more into your question. So, we meet God, then the mind can become like arrogant and say, I got it. This is done, I'm done. You see? But that is not spirituality. Yeah? So I'm trying to root it out of you. But that is not spirituality. Because spirituality was God. The world's version of spirituality was God for me. That is egoic spirituality. I have got it, so now I'm done. And I am saying to you, you met God, now you have no excuse to run from God. It is said about the Guru that the Guru is the Mata Pita, the Bandhu Sakha, between the mother, father, the sibling, and the best friend, all of these things. But that Guru's job is to bring you to God. Now, what must that God be if the Guru itself is all of this? Then, that God, how can we exchange for anything that the world can offer? How is it possible? Even if time was not running out, okay, suppose you say, none of that. Okay, we have eternal time. Who would you spend it with? Who would you spend it with? So can spirituality, can an attainment of God be an achievement? Firstly, it cannot be because it is done onto us through grace, through God's grace. So we never did anything, so it's not a question of achievement at all. Secondly, you say, okay, I always wanted to live in the best house in the world. Huh? Then to buy that house, and say, oh, done, now I don't need to live in it. That's the weirdness of the mind. So you came to God so that what? You can just like stamp it and say, I came to God, and then go on your merry way. No. It's so that you can live in it. Easy. Well, to buy the best house in the whole universe, best view, everything, and then not ever live in it. There's no point. Is it? So, if you've not got God, you feel like you haven't got. Of course, everyone has God equally. But if there is the hypnosis that you haven't, then use everything that you have. You have all the pointers, you have all so many beautiful traditions in the world to come to God. So dedicate your life to coming to God's light. Once you found God's light, then there is never a reason to go and live in the ego shadow. Never a reason, except when the mind comes in this way that, okay, I wanted the keys to heaven, but I am comfortable in my hell. That is the meaning of spiritual achievement. This is done, now I can just... So that's a trick. Like, now you've done it, now it's okay.
Father, I came with a conflict
Yes.
in my mind. Since childhood, I have had this experience that I am something else. Okay? When something tragic happened or something really good happened, I could feel that there is something else who is sensing all this. So that's why when I connected with Ramana Maharshi, and that immediately clicked. Right? My conflict is that for a seeker who believes that this is not just a matter of faith in Guru's word, there is some truth possibly in it. How should we conduct ourselves in the professional and in the workspace? And the reason is that if I have a choice now between working on a very important PowerPoint to contemplate or meditate, I would go for meditation. And somehow, sometimes when it is really critical, work automatically falls in, right pieces fall in the right places. But I don't do those things. So somewhere I get this, and maybe mind playing that trick, that you don't want to be a big shot because you know there's a lot of hard work. That's why you are choosing this as a escape route. So how do we see this? I've tried karma yoga, I've seen this is the work of God, but somewhere I feel if I have a choice between again working on some office work, which never stops,
Yeah.
there's 16 hours, 20 hours, as much as you can get, to really doing some work, some meditation, I would go for it.
Yeah.
Then some, as you said, and this happens with me, some book, some quote, something comes up which Ramana says, why you see this as a work, this could also be your meditation.
Yes.
But then there's always this, that am I escaping work,
Yeah,
hence
yeah,
doing
yeah,
this?
yeah.
So please,
Thank you,
please
thank
guide.
you, thank you for that. That's what I'm saying. There is no way in our mind that we can conclude the goodness or badness of something. You see, because it's all depending on the moment, what is playing out. It is all very, just like I keep saying in Satsang, that in thousands of years of humanity, we have not figured out whether it is good to give money to a beggar or not, because it all depends on the context, the pretext, all of that, right? So, can we say authoritatively, sitting here, that for the next whatever working life that you have, that you should not work on your PowerPoint presentation, then it's okay to meditate? We cannot say, you see. In the other way, we cannot also say that it's always you must become a karma yogi and do your responsibilities, and then that is truly worship. Work is worship, but worship is not worship. All that kind of nonsense we cannot say. So the only way now to live for those who truly in love with God is to live moment to moment in God's light and allow that to unfold moment to moment without making a template for what is good in our life and what is bad in our life. So just moment to moment. And the guidance comes in the form of what is unfolding, like you said. It just unfolds. You may say, no, I'm not going to send that email today. I'm going to sit and chant or meditate or something. And what you find yourself doing with the email is going. Sometimes it's the other way. I'll finish all my work, then on the weekend I'll just sit in meditation. And instead you came and you're just meditating. So to allow all of that to unfold intuitively is the only quote unquote right way to live. We cannot templatize, we cannot say this is better, that is better, this philosophy is better, I need to be this type of yogi. Yeah. All in the mind. None of that. Empty. From head empty, heart full. Head empty, heart full. Allow it to unfold from there. What are the questions? So there was a question on why we started using terms like foolishness or sinner and all of these things. So I want to clarify a bit of that. That's a good question, actually. So the word actually sin, although it has many connotations in the world, and it got a lot of burden and things, and that's why I rarely used it in satsang. But really to boil it down to how I feel like it's useful for us, you see, is to just use it as an error, and the only error is that given that God's presence is here, that God's will is palpable, we go and follow the way of the mind, that the way of the heart is available to us, and yet to follow the way of the mind, that would be an error. See, that would be to follow my way rather than God's way, my will rather than God's will, to live on my terms rather than God's terms. So that traditionally in some cultures has been called a sin. But if that word is too troublesome, we can also explore why it is troublesome. But if it just has this connotation, then I feel like it's a useful word to use. But if it's burdensome, forget it. It's okay. Foolishness, of course, is same thing. Foolishness is same thing. So foolishness is just the desire to live on my terms rather than in God's life. That.
That same thread. Here there's a lot of trying. Largely those suggestions are about don't do. And even in Satsang there's also suggestions on don't.
Yeah. Don't follow your mind.
Yeah.
That's what there are not too many other suggestions.
Yeah.
Yes.
But yeah. When I read that, it seemed like there seems to be like a identity being punished,
Yeah.
and that one doesn't like it.
Yeah.
So there's that here
I
as
want
well.
to, I want to just keep it to the level of, just like to accept the foolishness of it, that the greatest guide in the universe is guiding us, is available intuitively as Sadguru presence. Yeah, I mean internally, of course, not this boy who's sitting here, but the greatest guide in our heart is guiding us. No? And then the foolishness would be to go with this voice of selfishness, of individuality. It's like Shankara said, Bhaja Govindam Modamate. The grammarian is learning all the rules of grammar and Sanskrit and all of that, but not meeting God for an instant. So Shankara told him, Bhaja Govindam, say the name of Krishna and meet God in your heart. That is worth hundreds of years of practicing your grammar rules. So that in that tone, in that way. And actually, if we dive into it more, you notice that as you follow the hypnosis of the mind, where are you? Where are you? So the beauty of open and empty, the beauty of remaining in the unborn, is a heavenly life. The suffering of the mental hypnosis is a hellish life. So hell and heaven are not location, Nark and Swarg are not locations that we will go to. It is what we make our life to be. So there is no further punishment except having a hellish existence. That itself is more than enough. So right now you may notice it, like if you get into some hypnosis of guilt and unworthiness, you could be staying in satsang. So you could be in the satsang hall, where even strangers come and say, I feel something, there's something beautiful when I come. But you could be coming for like 10 years, and in that hypnosis, in those moments of mind dominance, it can feel like hell even here. It can feel like hell even here. And in the worst of circumstances, you could be at work and everything, you're being fired from your job or something like that. You see? And you are in your heart. Just can be heaven even in that. So it's never about the event. It's never about what is unfolding in our life. And it's about, are we in God's light or the ego shadow? Because ego shadow is that hellish life. God's light is the experience of Swarg, heaven. How is it that if you were sitting here, we should do this experiment one day. We should swap places. No? Then you look around everybody's face in the room, and one is in bliss, one is having a mental tantrum, one is like that, one is contemplating, thinking, one is just not, one is meditating. No, so many. So the world is the same, no, apparently. apparently. So it's the same. But what we experience is how different. That's why the reports are also very different. And they'll say, "Thank you, Father, for Satsang. It was so good. I was in bliss the whole time." One will say, "Today, I don't know, man. You were a bit off your game. I don't know." Nobody told me that they're feeling that as they आज कुछ मज़ा नहीं आया. Like that. But the satsang was the words were the same, the presence is the same. So this is the secret, no? The secret. That whether you're having the most beautiful heavenly life or a life which is so full of suffering, it's just dependent on whether you are following God's light in God's light or you are under the hypnosis of the mind. That is the only determinant. And you don't have to have a jugglery life. You don't have to have a jugglery life. The mind will try with all its might to convince you there is a practical life, there is a spiritual life, there is a satsang world, there is a real world. Not like that at all. But it is true that in the seemingly deep hypnosis of the mind, sometimes when I click, although it's there, God is there before you hear the first click, is it? But it can seem like I'm not even able to hear or follow. Sometimes. And I see that with some of you. Now, although it's always now, but somehow some of you, sometimes depending on your condition at that point, you hear the first now or the 10th one. Is it? It's like now, now, now. You see? So you can go from skepticism to like now. Now. So I've seen all those things. No, you can start like that. But the now has been the same. It's always been the same now. It's never in the event of things. So can we conclusively say it's always, or does it take time? Can't say, because it's beyond the ability to conceptualize. At one level, it's always right now. Another level, this is like a defrosting, there's a dehypnosis, the letting go of the fall. That's why we can't templatize this. We can't really templatize this and say, step 1 do this, step 2, step 3, step 5, ask yourself, who am I? It doesn't work. It's very alive.
I wanted to share this.
Yeah.
Sometimes, I have a very strong kind of a dream. So seems so real. Then I wake up and then I'm so confused as to what is wrong this or that.
Exactly. Stay confused about that because it's not resolved. You see? How do you know that this is not a dream? We can't know. We could have this very conversation in the dream right now, and you could wake up any moment saying, I was having this conversation with Father, and then you can't say. So don't allow your mind to conclude on these things. That's a great wonder. Is that real or is this real?
A lighter note, I just recalled last night my dream.
Yeah.
Guruji was in my dream, admonishing me for being distracted.
Yeah, really? Good.
So it was kind of like it was like satsang in the dream. And then, my wife admonished me when I was waking up.
For being too satsang.
No.
Stuck between two admonishments is the life of a man.
For not waking up. So like both states,
Yeah.
Need to be less distracted in both states.
Admonishment either way.
I have a question actually for this experiencing of I am that's sort of in the heart. I'm really now embracing the I am as I am. I am the feeling, the consciousness. But just want to get your guidance on sometimes this, since it's also observable, you're also witnessing the Nirgun, Sagun, you're both Nirgun and Sagun, non-dualistically, same, you're both. But that's, how is that? You're both witnessing, but you're also experiencing the world as a Sagun, where even your body is in there, everything phenomenal is in there. You're also a witness of that. At the same time, causes confusion.
No, I didn't find any confusion.
No, but it's
all true.
Just,
It's all true, my dear. It doesn't have to be either this or that. It has to be either God or me. But once you find God, then you see unmanifest, manifest, in the heart of a seeming living being. You see everything.
You can see being and you are being.
Yeah. Father, Son and Holy Spirit. All is one God. Nirguna Brahman, Saguna Brahman and Atma. Not separate, but one. And yet qualitatively tastable as separate in a way. Don't have to strain to understand. You know this in your heart. But most importantly, what is the good news? So don't let your mind beat you up for anything at all. Enjoy it. Like if you contemplate, enjoy it. Meet it in your heart, contemplate. Let it be your joy. Sometimes, of course, it is also designed to squeeze your throat. The throat of the ego. It is going to happen like that. But when you meet it in the heart, all is okay. It's like, how can the goose escape the vase? What tells you that it can't? We may find all the intellectual solutions. Did it lose weight? You see, did somebody put oil in the vase? It became all slippery, so it came out. We may have various things. But what is the non-intellectual solution? Exactly.
all is consciousness, so it can do anything at once.
No, not even that. So koans are very beautiful that way to take away a need for a mental resolution and yet to come to an acceptance of that which is completely unacceptable in our head. Because to accept that God is here is pure nonsense for your head. Where is God? If God was here, then why would this be happening to me? Hmm? And this is where faith comes in, because faith doesn't rely on rationality. And what am I asking you to apply faith to? That which is your own inside. Have faith in your own inside, on your own contemplation. There are some questions. Okay, let's go back to the stage. Okay, let's go to Devdas. Come.
Godfather,
Hello.
can you hear
Hello.
me?
Yes, yes, yes.
You. I had some experience in the past when I was asking for God's guidance, and it came through thought.
Yes.
And that's why for me it's not an easy thing, because usually it comes by or a feeling, or mainly by this coming up an idea. That's you should do, kind of. And it was my one time. It was saving my life, because I had a problem with my stomach was bursting out, and I was praying, please God help me, because I feel that I'm in danger. And he sent me a joke, which was like very in an instant I realized that I have to call the emergency.
Very
And
good.
so it's,
Yes, yes, yes.
I don't,
Very
not
good.
words.
Yes. Yes, yes. Yes, God can help in every single way. It's very good. Very good. Your audio was not super clear, so was there a question also that I missed, or?
I just wanted to clarify that
Yes, yes.
is it possible that because for me it's like merely it's merely usually a kind of thought.
Yes.
Or maybe I am interpreting not well, but it seems like it's giving me some guidance through thought.
I see, I see. I would say that use the anchor, which is that is the self apparent to me in this moment, and as it is emerging out of that, then stay with that, because the instrument of the mind cannot come to true knowledge. But also you will notice that, like, you hear the words of satsang, and although they are words, they are concepts in the words of satsang, they carry a different fragrance about them, which is not a needy, not a grasping, not a rushing sort of energy about them. So if it comes with that kind of fragrance, then that makes it trustable. But sometimes in moments where we are not able to discern these things, like we're in some deep pain and things like this, then you don't have to worry. You can follow. If it feels true in your heart, you can follow that. It's fine. But usually in day-to-day life, I would say that number one anchor is that yourself is apparent to you, and then the sub anchors are that it's not in a rush, the guidance is not pushy, it is full of love and not grasping, not needy, not desperate. So those kind of tools you can use to discern till it becomes fully apparent what the source of guidance is. But in extraordinary circumstances, like so-called emergencies in the world and painful situations, if it feels in that moment that it's intuitive, so just follow that. It's okay. It's okay. Mhm. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, my dear. Let's go to Radhisham. Radhisham, if you're saying something, you're not audible. आप कुछ बोल रहे हैं तो आपकी आवाज़ आ नहीं रही है. Okay, let's go to Samia.
Oh, Father, can you hear me well?
Yes, yes, my dear.
Okay, thank you, Father. Thank you so much for loving me. I just became so much mind and yeah, I just went a lot with the mind and yeah.
Yes, and now? Out or no?
Sorry, now?
Now out of it in God's light or no?
Yes.
Very good. Very good. Then nothing to
Yes.
worry about the past and post-mortem and say, why did I do that? Just, you're out, you're out. Now don't go back in. That's all.
Like, I don't know, it feels like it may have some energetic pull, Father, not just mind in a thought.
It has every possible pull. It has every possible pull, but your heart has a stronger pull. Beyond energy, beyond thought, the calling is apparent in your heart now, and its fragrance, its scent cannot be lost. So stay in the scent, and when you realize that you were just in the ego shadow, just return home. All the pointers are there with you. The Master's blessings and grace is there with you. So don't think more about thinking.
Yes. yeah, in your light, it's just so obvious, Father, and thank you for giving me this opportunity to come up and see this. And actually, yes, when I say energetic pull, actually, it's nothing. Like I just use some words, but it has no meaning actually. But I somehow just said them, and yeah, it's just like sometimes I believe them. That's all. I believe them. That's why I may go.
Yes, my dear. Yes.
But now it's good, and yeah, thank you. Just wanted to be with you.
Very good. Very good.
Because if I don't come, yeah, yes, okay, that's I just came, and yeah, thank you so much. I love you so much.
Oh, I love you too much. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, my dear. So almost at regular intervals, there are reminders that I get to be kind to this body also. At various occasions, the body itself experiences strong sense of fatigue at times, and we may call it satsang fatigue because not the usual worldly sort of fatigue. So one thing that really helps in those times is to not hug and have too much physical contact. So that helps to rejuvenate the body in some ways. So we're just going to be like that for a few days. I'm in avoidance about that condition.
Sorry, Father.
Yeah,
I just missed the part which you talked about, buddy. And may you please repeat that again? I feel like it's important for me. Thank you.
No, I was just saying for this body here, sometimes I notice that quite regularly actually, that in every few weeks this body becomes a bit tired, and the sharing of satsang leads to something which you can just, if you have to use words, called satsang fatigue. So that's what's being experienced in this body at the moment, and I just feel like to be kind to this instrument is also good from time to time. So I was just saying that for a few days we won't have hugs and things in satsang in Bangalore, and then, I don't know, it could just be today or it could be this week.
All this talk tiring, you can understand. Hugs tiring.
Huh?
Talking, I can understand tiring, but hugging is transfer kind of thing. It's some energy transfer. No, really, I'm asking.
Was there a question in that? Achha, what happened, you asked?
Yeah, sort of, yeah.
Yeah,
it is that. Because I also sometimes I just touch you, I feel the being so strong. I think it's something.
But don't worry about any of that. Because I never want any of you kids to become like guilty that I gave father a hug. No, it's very natural. It's for me to manage all this. You be natural like kids. It's fine. What's your name, my dear?
Ashish.
Your friend, right? When did Bhakti go back? No, I'm asking from here to here. Okay, we can disconnect from the. Etienne wants to come? Okay.
I just wanted to share. I mean, I think your whole sangha wants to bless you and your body and your instrument, and may you be well in every way possible. And
so sweet. Thank you, my love. Thank you, my child. So much love. Thank you. Thank you, my dear.
love you, love you.
Love you, love you.